These 7 Colorado towns are so beautiful that people are moving there from across the country. But locals are getting priced out of their own hometowns. You've probably seen those Instagram photos of Colorado mountain towns. Pristine peaks, charming main streets, that perfect small-town vibe. What you don't see is the real estate prices. You'll see exactly what makes them so beautiful, why everyone's moving there, and most importantly, why the people who actually live there are being forced to leave. If you've ever dreamed about escaping to a mountain town, this video will show you the real cost of that dream. Crested Butte sits at 8,900 feet in the Gunnison Valley, surrounded by peaks that scrape 12,000 and 13,000 feet. The town was born as a coal mining settlement in the 1880s. When the coal ran out in the 1950s, Crested Butte nearly died. Then skiing saved it, or transformed it, depending on who you ask. The population is about 1,600. The historic downtown has preserved its mining-era character. Victorian buildings painted in bright colors, dirt roads at least in the older sections, no chain stores, a deliberate effort to maintain small-town authenticity. And the skiing is world-class. Crested Butte Mountain Resort draws skiers and snowboarders from across the country, known particularly for extreme terrain. In summer, the surrounding wilderness becomes a paradise for mountain biking, hiking, and wildflower viewing. This is outdoor recreation at its finest. But here's the economic reality. Median household income in Crested Butte is around $68,000. The median home price has reached $1.4 million. That's a ratio of more than 20 to 1. For perspective, housing is considered critically unaffordable when it exceeds 5 times annual income. So who lives here? Increasingly, nobody lives here year-round. Second homes make up roughly 70% of the housing stock. 70%. That means 7 out of 10 homes sit empty most of the year, occupied only during ski season and perhaps a few weeks in summer. The people who work at the resort, who staff the restaurants and shops, can't afford to live in Crested Butte. They live in Gunnison, 30 minutes south and 1,000 feet lower. They commute up the mountain in all weather, sometimes in convoys during winter storms, to serve an economy that prices them out. The town has tried to address this. There are deed-restricted affordable housing units, employee housing developments, but the scale of the problem far exceeds the solutions. Steamboat Springs sits in the Yampa Valley in northwestern Colorado. Unlike some mountain towns that feel invented for tourism, Steamboat has deep ranching roots. This was cattle country long before it was ski country. That heritage still shows. You'll see pickup trucks and cowboy hats alongside ski racks and Gore-Tex. The population is around 13,500, making it one of the larger towns on this list. The ski resort, Steamboat, is massive and well-known, particularly for its champagne powder snow. But the town has maintained more of its working character than many Colorado ski destinations. Or it had. That's changing. Median household income is about $72,000. Median home price has climbed to $925,000, nearly 13 times the annual income, and that's the median. Homes, near the slopes, or with mountain views, easily exceed $2 million. The ranching families who defined Steamboat for generations are selling out. Not because they want to. Because the property taxes on land, now valued for resort development, are impossible to sustain on ranching income. A ranch that's been in a family for 4 generations becomes worth more sold to developers than worked. The service economy has exploded. During ski season, Steamboat needs thousands of workers, lift operators, hotel staff, restaurant servers, retail employees. Very few of them live in Steamboat. They commute from Craig, 40 miles northwest. Some live in RVs parked in designated lots, a semi-official acknowledgement that workforce housing doesn't exist at scale. Steamboat still has a local community. High school rodeo teams, ranchers who come to town for supplies. But the balance is tipping. The tourists outnumber the locals. The second homes outnumber the primary residences. The economy, built on recreation, is consuming the community that created it. Ouray is known as the Switzerland of America, and the comparison isn't hyperbole. The town sits in a box canyon, surrounded by 13,000-foot peaks on 3 sides. The population is about 1,000. Ouray is tiny. One main street, a few cross streets. That's essentially the entire town, packed into a narrow valley with nowhere to expand. The mountains don't allow it. The town's history is mining, gold and silver in the late 1800s. When mining collapsed, Ouray nearly vanished. Tourism saved it, but slowly. This isn't Aspen or Vail. It's more rugged, more isolated. The million-dollar highway that connects Ouray to the outside world is spectacular and terrifying in equal measure, especially in winter. What draws people now is the scenery and the hot springs. Natural hot springs are piped into a municipal pool where you can soak in 104-degree water while surrounded by snow-covered peaks. It's surreal and addictive. The town also hosts the Ouray Ice Park, a world-renowned destination for ice climbers, with frozen waterfalls engineered specifically for climbing. But the economics tell a familiar story. Median household income is around $52,000. Median home price is $685,000, more than 13 times annual income. And remember, there's essentially no room to build. The canyon walls limit expansion. The housing stock is fixed, so prices climb. Investors buy properties for short-term rentals. Airbnb and VRBO have transformed the town. Walk the streets in the evening, and you'll notice how many homes are dark. Not because people are out. Because nobody lives there, they're rental properties waiting for the next reservation. The people who work in Ouray, who run the shops and hotels and restaurants, increasingly live in Ridgeway, 10 miles north, or Montrose, 40 miles away. They commute into this box canyon to serve an economy that has no room for them. Breckenridge is one of Colorado's most famous ski towns. It sits at 9,600 feet in Summit County, making it one of the highest incorporated towns in the United States. The ski resort is enormous, with 5 peaks and terrain for every ability level. The historic downtown is postcard perfect, with Victorian buildings housing restaurants, bars, galleries, and shops. The population is listed as around 5,100, but that number is misleading. The permanent population is far smaller. Many of those counted as residents are seasonal workers or people with second homes who establish residency for tax purposes. Breckenridge has always been expensive, but the last decade has seen prices accelerate beyond anything resembling local affordability. Median household income is about $78,000. Median home price has reached $1.35 million, 17 times the annual income. The result is visible if you know where to look. Ski instructors living in vans and parking lots, resort workers sleeping in basements and storage units, multiple people sharing single rooms to afford rent that still consumes half their income. The town has acknowledged the crisis. There are workforce housing developments, deed-restricted units, employer-provided housing, but the scale of the problem dwarfs the solutions. Breckenridge Ski Resort employs thousands during peak season. Where do they live? Not in Breckenridge. Many commute from Silverthorne, Dillon, Frisco, towns 10 to 20 minutes away that are themselves becoming unaffordable. Others come from Leadville, 45 minutes over Hoosier Pass. Some drive from as far as Buena Vista, over an hour away, to work shifts on the mountain. The town functions, the lifts run, the restaurants serve food, the shops sell gear. But it functions as a machine, not a community. The people who make it run are treated as interchangeable parts, not as residents with roots and futures. Telluride sits in a box canyon at the end of a valley in southwestern Colorado. The setting is almost absurdly dramatic. Bridal Veil Falls, Colorado's tallest free-falling waterfall, drops 365 feet at the head of the canyon. Peaks rise over 13,000 feet on 3 sides. There's literally one road in and the same road out. The town was a rough mining camp in the 1800s. Butch Cassidy robbed his first bank here in 1889. When mining died, Telluride nearly died with it. By the 1960s, the population had dropped below 500. Then skiing arrived, and everything changed. Today, Telluride is synonymous with wealth, film festivals, billionaire second homes, private jets landing at the small airport. The population is listed as about 2,600, but again, that's deceptive. The actual year-round population is far smaller. The median home price is $2.3 million. The median household income is $73,000. That's a ratio of more than 30 to 1. It's not just unaffordable, it's functionally impossible. So who lives in Telluride? Almost nobody who works there. The workers live in Mountain Village, connected by gondola, or they live in Placerville, 20 miles away, in Norwood, 30 miles away. Some commute from Montrose, 70 miles and a mountain pass away. Telluride has become a case study in what happens when a town becomes an investment vehicle. Homes are bought not to live in, but to own, to hold as assets, to rent out for $5,000 a week during ski season. The town is full of empty houses worth millions. There's a local saying, Telluride, where the poor have 2 jobs and the rich have 2 houses. It's bitter but accurate. The town has tried to address this. There are affordable housing lotteries for locals, deed restrictions on some units, but it's like bailing out the ocean with a teaspoon. The market forces are too powerful, the wealth gap too extreme. Aspen is the archetype, the original Colorado ski town that became synonymous with wealth and exclusivity. It sits in the Roaring Fork Valley, surrounded by the Elk Mountains, with 4 ski areas within easy reach. The town itself is stunning, with Victorian architecture, world-class restaurants, high-end boutiques, and cultural institutions that rival cities 50 times its size. The population is about 7,000, though again that includes many people who don't actually live here full-time. The Aspen Institute, the Aspen Music Festival, the Food and Wine Classic, these aren't small-town events. They're internationally recognized. But let's talk about the economics of maintaining this paradise. The median home price in Aspen is $3.2 million. The median household income is $88,000, 36 times the annual income. Even people with high incomes, doctors, lawyers, engineers, cannot afford to buy a median home in Aspen without substantial wealth beyond their salaries. The result is a town that doesn't function geographically as a community. The people who work in Aspen live somewhere else. They live in Basalt, 20 miles down the valley, in Carbondale, 30 miles away, in Glenwood Springs, 40 miles away. They wake before dawn, drive up the valley, work their shifts, and drive home after dark. During peak times, over 30,000 people work in the Aspen area. Maybe 7,000 live there. The math doesn't work, so people commute. Some take buses provided by employers, some carpool. All of them spend hours of their day traveling to serve an economy that has no place for them. Aspen has more affordable housing units than most Colorado resort towns. But affordable is relative. A deed-restricted unit might sell for $500,000 instead of $3 million. That's still out of reach for many workers. The town has also built entire neighborhoods specifically for workers. But even those are oversubscribed with years-long waiting lists. The demand far exceeds the supply, and it always will as long as the underlying economics remain unchanged. Aspen is beautiful. It's cultured, sophisticated, surrounded by stunning wilderness, but it's also a case study in what happens when a town becomes a commodity. When real estate is treated as investment, not housing. When the people who make a place function are treated as external to the place itself. Estes Park sits at the eastern entrance to Rocky Mountain National Park. Elevation 7,500 feet, surrounded by peaks that include Longs Peak at 14,259 feet. This is one of Colorado's most visited small towns, and for good reason. The setting is spectacular. Elk wander through town. The national park draws over 4 million visitors annually. The downtown has maintained its small-town charm despite the tourist influx. The population is around 6,300. Estes Park has a different character than the ski towns. It's less glitzy, more accessible, more focused on summer tourism and outdoor recreation. Families come here, not just wealthy second home owners. But the economic pressures are the same. Median household income is about $54,000. Median home price has reached $715,000, 13 times the annual income. And unlike some mountain towns where the excuse is geographic limitation, Estes Park has room to grow. The problem isn't space, it's economics. Tourism drives everything. The town needs workers to staff the hotels, restaurants, shops, campgrounds, and tour operations. During summer, that workforce swells. Where do those workers live? Increasingly, not in Estes Park. They commute from Loveland, 30 miles away, from Longmont, 40 miles away. Some come from Fort Collins, 45 miles away. The workers who serve Rocky Mountain National Park can't afford to live near Rocky Mountain National Park. The town has year-round residents, but they're aging. Young families can't afford to buy homes. Young workers can't afford to rent. The schools are seeing declining enrollment, not because people are having fewer children, but because families with children can't afford to stay. Short-term rentals have exploded. Entire neighborhoods that used to house locals now house tourists on rotation. It's more profitable to rent a house for $300 a night than $2,000 a month. The math is simple and destructive. Estes Park is trying to address this. There are discussions about regulating short-term rentals, about building workforce housing, but the forces are powerful and the solutions slow. The town is caught in a paradox. Its beauty and proximity to the national park make it desirable. That desirability drives up prices. Higher prices push out locals. Without locals, the town becomes a service economy staffed by commuters. The community dissolves. Estes Park is beautiful. The national park is magnificent. The elk at sunset, the mountain vistas, the rivers and forests, all of it is real and stunning. But the town itself is changing in ways that threaten what made it a town in the first place. You can visit Estes Park and see none of this. You can eat at excellent restaurants, stay in comfortable hotels, hike spectacular trails, and leave thinking it's a thriving mountain community. But if you talk to the people who work there, who've lived there for decades, who want to raise families there, you'll hear a different story. Estes Park is becoming a gateway, not a home. A place people pass through, not a place people stay. So here's the reality. These towns are beautiful, but they're becoming unlivable for the people who built them. The pattern is the same across all 7. Natural beauty attracts outsiders with money. Prices skyrocket. Locals can't afford to stay. Teachers, firefighters, service workers, they're all leaving because they can't compete with out-of-state buyers paying cash. If you're thinking about moving to one of these towns, ask yourself, are you part of the solution or are you accelerating the problem? Some of these places are still worth considering if you have serious income. Others, you're just buying into a real estate bubble that's about to pop.